We have a grooming policy. We actually have another one that has been drafted, updated, based on, for example, one court case that we had. And that has been doing the rounds. It was circulated with the principals. It was circulated with the student council members. So the students have a voice, with the churches. So everybody has been looking at this policy of grooming. And it's not an easy one. We have to make sure that the rules are fair. And we need to make sure that there is order in our schools. There's too much in order in our society. And our schools are very important for us to maintain order. But we understand that times change. Times change, and you have to look at things differently. And that's why we have the consultations ongoing. We have the new 2024 policy, which will become 2025 policy, which we're still getting feedback from the schools. And we will continue to dialogue and have the right approach, and it's right balance between order and getting our students to learn in school. We want them at school, and we want them to be learning in an orderly way.
Greetings, my Jamaican people, once again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's episode, we are seeing a rather sensitive issue in Jamaica, that is about grooming in schools. In the recent days, you've seen there has been a constant misunderstanding between three bodies in Jamaica, and that is the government, the school traditionalists, and the legal system. In recent case, you have understood that Jamaica has always had some draconian laws that are presumed to have inherited from the colonial era period, whereby Jamaican students in school were supposed to have certain kinds of hairstyle, and some hairstyles were also banned by these colonial era rules. But with the recent timing, you're seeing that Jamaica is moving to a time that school rules are not that binding or draconian when it comes to the grooming, and this has caused massive reactions from different Jamaicans. I'll request that you kindly watch the rest of this episode to the end, and kindly don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the share button while I come with my commentaries at the end of it.
So let me start off by saying I have no problems with any of the rules that are implemented by a school, especially when the school would have gone through the correct protocols in putting those rules in place. Because even if as a student or even parents, a set of rules makes absolutely no sense to you, what it amounts to is a functional society, and you cannot put a price on that. So 9 out of 10 children will tell you, I don't know what the rule is for, I hate it, it doesn't serve no purpose. But 9 out of 10 adults will tell you that they absolutely love the structure and the discipline that school introduced to them from very early on in their lives. So watch this. This is baby hair. This is also baby hair. But I want to give you the benefit of the doubt that you will agree with me that nobody now wants to know pitney in a uniform in a this. Where you going at that? Where you go with valance hang over drapes or window curtain by your forehead? And in the grand scheme of things, if school is supposed to be preparing you for the world of work, who for workplace you want to show up looks up? If the job allows this, that is not the standard way you want, friend. And it definitely don't align with the ambitions where your school have for you. So in order to avoid this, even though this over here might be a little bit conservative and palatable, in order to avoid this, we're going to just say, none at all. And people present all kinds of arguments, some of which I find quite reasonable. I can see your logic, I can see where you're coming from. But the argument that potentially peeve me is when you have some people who are going to talk about, oh, but in America, who gives a crap about what happens in America relative to grooming? As somebody with teaching experience in the United States, I can tell you that a lot of times, same like how the little boy them wake, as same to them just roll out of bed and them just show up. A whole colony of ectoparasites residing in them here, lala water there, them mouth corner and matter in them eye. Not to mention the little girls, because the same valance we are talking about with the them forehead, when them use the edge control over and over, if you pierce it down over and over, it literally look like nose knot pan them forehead. When you suggest uniform to children in America, the whole thing them show up bearing is the color. Length no matter, style no matter, make no matter, shape no matter. So when it comes on to grooming, especially among school children, there is absolutely nothing enviable about what happens in America. And to the person who presents the argument that this has no bearing on a child's ability to learn, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But the direct rebuttal to that argument is that a school is not just responsible for the cognitive development of a child. In fact, I am about to embark on research research to investigate if much of the social degradation that we are experiencing is the direct consequence of so much focus being on the cognitive domain in school and not enough on the affective. When I was going to college, I learned about the impact of the hidden curriculum and the fact that education is supposed to be enacting a relatively permanent change in behavior in the life of the learner. The reality of the situation is that our schools and our education system is supposed to cause students to turn out to be holistic and functional individuals in our society and play their part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. So in the grand scheme of things, as long as the school followed the correct protocols, as long as all the stakeholders meet and make a decision to say these are the terms and conditions governing our school, then the school reserves the right and is completely at liberty to hold the children accountable to the behavioral contract with them sign. Bearing in mind that proper protocol means that children and their parents are an integral part of the decision-making process. The part of it where the school and I may disagree now is how you deal with those infractions, because I will never ever agree with the idea of barring children from school or obstructing or interrupting their instructional process. You have to have a system in place to treat with these misdemeanors while maximizing every child's learning potential. That means not barring them from instruction. Even when the valance them come looking crisp, like them spray starch it, it's not cast iron, them can brush back. If a boy come with him here taller than it is supposed to be, it can be groomed. And I get your passion about children abiding by the rules. But as an educator, you ought to be more passionate about optimizing learning. So anything that has to do with grooming that can be undone at school, undo it. I promise you, if you have a system of correction in place right this in your school, the children will come to you fitted because they are not going to want your correction. So if the hair want fix it. If the uniform not stay good, as a matter of fact, let me take this opportunity to just suggest something about uniforms. A lot of your grade 11s graduate from school and leave with very, very good uniforms. Put a donation facility in place so that those uniforms can be recycled, one, by the children in your school who are less fortunate, but two, when children show up with uniform infractions, you can't just go in your archive and pull something. Make sure them now go want where you are present to them. You understand me? So not turn the child away, not close the door upon them. I understand that children need to be held accountable, and I understand that you're passionate about the breaking of the rules and etc. I understand that if you don't nip the plant in the bud, it is going to cause a catastrophic erosion that is going to cause a whole heap of things to break down in your school. But at the end of the day, you ought to also be passionate about the learning loss. And parents, you need to be in the know. You cannot afford to be ignorant about the rules governing the school that your child attends. When your child is leaving home to go to school, you need to intercept them because you don't want nobody out here to give the child a difficult time. You do your part, teachers do them part, and the whole thing flow nice.
The controversy now about grooming in Jamaican schools is so much more of a bigger issue to me. I feel that by banning edges in a particular girls' high school and certain schools getting more strict around the dress code, and it's probably going to be a very big life lesson for them that transcends beyond the classroom. And will the edges prevent the girls from getting an education? Maybe not. But if it is going to become an operational and an administrative hassle on the part of the school that's taking their time away from really focusing on teaching, then I would say, yes, it could become a problem. So these schools getting really strict to comply with the dress code is teaching them the principle of discipline, is teaching them the principle of following the rules. Those are very important life lessons. There are so many stereotypes. While we may think it is morally wrong, the reality is that these stereotypes and these unconscious biases exist in the world. What these schools are doing, they are helping these children to learn that you have to show up in the world in a certain way to be deemed credible, looking like somebody who commands respect, who commands authority, who's capable of leading. And the fact is that some of these hairstyles and the way these kids are going to school, while it may be culturally appropriate, while it may be deemed beauty by Afrocentric standards and is a part of our cultural identity, we have to ask ourselves the question, when do those things trump discipline? I think where some of these schools are really going awry is in the way that they're dealing with the dress codes from a PR and a communication strategy perspective. It seems as if they're just going unilaterally and making these calls on bans and locking out students, as opposed to being really engaging, bringing in the parents, bringing in the students to have a really informed discussion and to find a balanced place that will still afford children some amount of creative expression while still enforcing the rules and principles of the schools. Coming out with a lot of these bans and lockouts too without appropriate messaging around the why also does not help. What can these students and even these schools and parents learn from this? Know when and where to express yourself. Not every space is designed for every form of self-expression. So if school says no edges, then it's fine to express yourself like that outside of school. Respect institutional standards, because discipline in the small things often predict discipline in the bigger things. These conversations are important to better understand identities and really how we can support our young people to be the best versions of themselves. Let me know your thoughts on the whole controversy and on any of the key points that I've raised.
Hi there. Can I weigh in on the grooming policy that the schools have? The first thing I want to say, before I say what I really want to say, is that every institution and every school, every bank, church, everywhere you go, the country, there are rules to follow. There are laws. And if you break those laws, then there are consequences. Now, I work at a school, as many of you know that I'm a teacher, right? And if I disagree with the grooming policies that the school has, I am still going to uphold those policies because I am a source of, I'm a figure of authority at the school. So I can't just ignore it regardless of my personal belief. So I think for the students, one thing you can learn from this, one thing, is that it teaches you discipline and it teaches you to obey the law. So school is a society and we're trying to have, laws, which are the rules. And if you break those rules, you are penalized. If I'm driving too fast and I'm on the road and I get a ticket, the police pulls me over and I get a ticket, policeman pull me over and I get a ticket. Me break the law. Yeah. So a lot of us, we would like to do things as we please, but life is just not like that. So for now, you bear what is there, and if you want to have a change, lobby for it. You have student councils, you have head boys and head girls and prefect bodies and whatever. So just use up those avenues to appeal or to rally, what should I say, advocate for change if you want change. But there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it, right? So you are citizens in the country, which is the school. You are students, you're in a school, so you can lobby for change. But do I find that the grooming policies are I think they're a bit outdated, and I think they're unnecessary sometimes. To be focusing on here so much is really, to me, is really wrong. Well, not wrong. Wrong is too strong a word, but it is a waste of resources, waste of energy, really and truly, to be running down the children about their hair. And what do I agree with? The hair must be combed. You must wash and comb your hair, man. Jesus. I don't agree that you cannot have hair on your head. It's as if the school is saying that you must always have a low cut, and I don't agree with that. You can have a high cut not too high to be plaited and stuff like that. But you can have hair on your head, right? And you wash it and you oil it and you brush it and you comb it and, you know, make it look neat. You understand? Because we're trying. In our society, neat hair is an indication of decency. That is what the society says. Whether you agree with it or not is a society in which you live. Right? So I agree with that. But on the other hand, the girls, for example, many schools are saying the girls cannot wear false hair. Why not? Why they can't wear fake hair? When most of the students that I see at my workplace, the false hair, I mean, you can hardly see it. You can hardly see it. And sometimes it helps the hair to look more groomed. Right? So sometimes the head need a little help, man. You need a little help. It is a method of what you call that term again? When you know comb your hair every minute. It helps your hair, you know. So when you put in a little false hair, like a little braid, and you cane roll your hair, and you look like one little pitney, you know. And even so, cane roll your hair or twist up your hair. Most of the children when I say wear the false hair, it don't look no way to me. So for me with the girls and the fake hair, what is this? Why do it? I would like to know though. Why is it the schools don't want girls to wear fake hair? Why? No, me not really get it as to why. And like I said, because most of the children I see, they're actually, it don't look no way to me. You know, I see other schools allow it, and the girls them do them here, and they look neat and okay. So I think you should go after those who are being excessive. Those are the children who you will go after. But in this day and age, you say no fake hair. Well, I'm not for fake hair. Okay, you can see me love my natural hair. Me not really for fake hair. But if that is what you want and that is what you are going to put in, I don't see how it make you look anyway outlandish. So I can't say no to it. Right? So that's me. So bottom line, you go to a school, they have rules, obey the rules until there is change. That's my belief. And I also believe that if you're going to school, put yourself together, man. Yes, put yourself together, because dress, the way you put yourself together does matter. I have a problem with like the boys and their pants, you know, down at their hips, and the pants is so tight and it look tacky, and you can see them take it in, and so no, that don't look good. And then there are the girls who wear their uniform too short and too tight. But you know what is the extreme when me really against though with this grooming thing in an attempt to groom us? The schools where the girls are wearing this long old uniform down on them ankle. What is up with that? And then when you think about it, what do you think that I gonna do? And it's a tropical country we live in. Why they must suffer the pity them to wear this long leather uniform? No, sir. I think it is cruelty. It is child cruelty. Yes. So, yeah, we can put ourselves together. But I think generally the schools need to sit down and come up with a better way, a better policy for our children.
Let us talk about the grooming policies. Now, you would have seen recently on social media where a lot of students were being locked out of schools because of their attire. Whether it was too tight of a pants, too short of a skirt, whether it was edges in the hair, a certain type of shoes, a certain type of bag, you get the vibe, you get the picture. Now, let's look at it from a different perspective.
I'm from Spanish Town, and my alma mater is the Jonathan Grant High School. Big up Spain Town, big up One White Church Street. Now, at the time when I was going to school, Dr. Uncle was the principal. Big up the man himself. If anybody knows anything about the Jonathan Grant High School, before Dr. Uncle came on the scene, Jonathan Grant High was only concerned about tight pants, short skirt, which man can have the most girl? Who did in a badness? Who never in a badness? Who did one in a badness? It was chaotic. School fights are broke left, right, and center. Ever since Dr. Uncle came on the scene and implemented strict grooming policies, which brought a sense of discipline to the institution, the school was transformed before our very eyes. Today, the Jonathan Grant High School continues to remain as one of the most formidable institutions when it comes to CXC and CAPE passes. Now, am I saying that we should lock out our students and to prevent them from accessing the classrooms and accessing education? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm asking the advocates to be very careful as to what you're advocating for. Because I believe that there is a direct correlation between proper grooming, discipline, and abiding by the rules of the institution and exemplary CXC and CAPE passes an overall academic performance. So what we should be advocating for is a balance. Ask the institutions to use their discretion, but allow the schools to enforce proper grooming among our students. I believe that there's a correlation, and if we continue to allow students to go to school however they want to go to school, they will get distracted, and those passes that we'd like to see in the CXC and in the Cape, they will not be coming to the fore.
Well, if you've watched this end, thank you once again, and let's get down to it. For beginners, you need to understand that Jamaica is one of the countries that has been very sensitive, especially when it comes to preserving its cultural identity and roots. And in the recent times, you understand that grooming in Jamaican schools has always been something that has caused massive debate online, with the main focus here being on Jamaican students and how they're supposed to keep their hairs. Well, this can look as a very simple issue, as you all understand that in most African or the Caribbean countries, there has always been a standardized way in which students are supposed to plait or groom their hairs. Meanwhile, in Jamaica, there were rules that were supposed to regulate this. And going back to history, you need to understand that these rules go back to the colonial era period, whereby you get to understand that the colonialists suggested some hairstyles that were to be accepted in Jamaican schools, and in doing so, some of the hairstyles that actually reflected the Jamaicans' rich cultural heritage were banned in these schools. Some of these hairstyles included locks, twists, cornrows, and even fades. And in having that in mind, you all understand how the Jamaican grooming laws in school came into place. However, in the recent times, you're getting to see that Jamaica is actually moving away from this. With the recent statement by Education Minister Dr. Dana, you're getting to see that there has always been controversy with her statements, that is, with regards to grooming in Jamaican school. And one of the most viral cases that led to this issue in Jamaica was back in 2020. That is on the Vago girl case, where we're getting to see that a certain Jamaican school didn't allow a 5-year-old girl to be admitted in school to go on with her studies. That is, after she reported with dreadlocks in school. And this case actually persisted for more than 4 years, where you get to see that finally the Court of Appeal in Jamaica made a ruling that was in support of the girl, claiming that the school shouldn't be used to prevent a student from expressing or having a way of expressing their identity and celebrating their Jamaican culture. Well, this marked a massive change by this landslide ruling, whereby different schools in Jamaica actually had different views with regards to this. And most recently, you're getting to see that back in 2023-2024, Jamaica again passed the national standard haircut rule, whereby it allowed locks, fades, dreadlocks, and twists among students, as it actually showed the divergent cultural identity of the Jamaicans, and how the students should be allowed to embrace their own sense of identity. And this actually changed how everyone has viewed, that is, grooming in Jamaican schools. Again, you're getting to understand that even in recent times, after this was passed, we are getting to understand that there are some schools that are still actively fighting against these rules that we've seen have been legally passed by the Jamaican Constitution. And a recent case, again, are getting to see the issue about the edges or the baby hairs that has been making current trends in multiple social media platforms, and that is mainly related to most Jamaican schools, where we're getting to see that teachers are banning the hair edges that is among the female students, and this has again caused massive online outcry as most Jamaicans are again coming out to call out these draconian rules that have been present in Jamaican schools since the colonial era period, and are claiming that the Jamaican government should let students to actually express and embrace their cultural identity. However, again, you're getting to understand that not every Jamaican has this pro hair grooming mindset in them, as there is a faction of Jamaicans that actually view it from a very different angle. And this goes to the old school traditionalists who look at it as a way of discipline. And they are claiming that in schools, every student is supposed to be uniform compared to another one. And having different hairstyles could actually have massive repercussions. And that is not only in the schools, but also in the society, with some of them claiming that different hairstyles, especially having locks or the feds, are usually associated with the different gangs prevalent in Jamaica. And with students now being allowed to wear these hairstyles, it will be quite different for the law authorities to differentiate from real students and active gang members. And other than that, they are claiming that having a uniform hairstyle that is short hair in school is a way of discipline that should be encouraged on students, and giving students the freedom to actually have any form of hairstyle on their heads will actually go against the most basic rule, that is of instilling discipline among students, as these will turn the Jamaican high schools or the Jamaican schools majorly into fashion runways, as every student will now be looking forward to having hairstyles that would outcompete each other. And having this in mind, some students will actually feel inferior compared to others, as they will not be able to afford these kinds of hairstyles that their fellow students are donning. And so to them, a standardized way of hair grooming in Jamaica is a way of instilling discipline to students, and they believe that this discipline can also be extended into the community. That once these students manage to finish their education, they will go back to the community and learn how to obey the country's laws and rules, and that is after they've actually been instilled these rules while they are still in school. And again, this is the major old school traditionalist view, and you've seen how they've expressed themselves in this clip. And actually, there is a faction of Jamaicans that, as I'd mentioned before, have views quite different from the old school traditionalists. And again, you're getting to understand that the legal system in Jamaica, again, is in support of this grooming act, as most activists are looking at it as a very legal way of allowing Jamaican students to actually express themselves, as this is a part of their freedom according to the Jamaican Constitution. And so this has also caused massive discussion online, and I've decided to cover it in this episode today. And I will kindly love to hear from you, that is in the comment section. Share with me your thoughts and ideas with regards to hair grooming in Jamaica, and kindly once again don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the share button, and see you in the next episode.